All right, now let's get some breaking news now. Reaching out, see the Central Bank of Nigeria has revoked the banking license of Heritage Bank PLC in accordance with its mandate to promote a sound financial system in Nigeria and in exercise its powers under Section 12 of the Banks and Other Financial Acts, that's BOFIA 2020. According to the statement by the Acting Director, Corporate Communications, this action has become necessary because the board and management of the bank have not been able to improve the bank's financial performance, a situation which constitutes a threat to financial stability. So that's it. Breaking news right here. CBN has revoked the banking license of Heritage Bank. Well, let's look at trading for May now and see what to expect in the month of June. Join us now is Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO, Finance with Mukhtar, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Ladi. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Right. So I hope the industrial action is not impacting trades today. Is it?
No, not at all. We are a private sector driven the economy, the NCF. We can work remotely and just get the system on.
Fine. Okay, let's look at the month of May now. We had 3 negative closes for about 3 weeks, but we had just that one positive close. And it turns out May turned out positive. How are you seeing that?
Well, Ladi, these negative closures are largely driven by perception, especially if you look at those negative closures coming from the banking space, where investors still at lost about what will happen in terms of recapitalization. We are beginning to get clear direction on that of recent, where some banks during their AGM have come up with a clear-cut strategy. So we might be seeing the right issues. Now, what investors are really concerned about is the price of these right issues. Are they going to be buying at a discount? And what is that discount like? And when will this right issue will be a one-off right issue? If you listen to the chairman of UBA saying that you may have a right issue now, then you have a second one when the interim dividend is paid, and you may have a final one when the final dividend is paid. So other banks have not come up with any clear-cut decision. So that seems to be what is affecting investors at the moment. Investor sentiment is a little bit low. And then when you look at other sector of the market, you've not gotten any good news in terms of the manufacturing sector, in terms of the conglomerate, in terms of the food and beverages sector. The results have not been commensurate with what investors are expecting. So definitely those negative sentiment will continue to drag down the market. But again, it also offers entry point for designing investors, especially value chain investors who come into the market and take opportunity to buy some of these stocks at a good rate.
Right, and definitely we can't look away from the industrial action at this time and the issue of minimum wage in Nigeria. Talk to me about that number, about 400,000 naira minimum wage. How would that impact listed companies on the NGX?
I think that one is very unrealistic. We know it's unrealistic, but again, the government have not shown seriousness in also negotiating with labor. If you listen to what labor seems to say, they come up with their numbers based on figure, but the government just tend to banish numbers at them. Ordinarily, the national minimum will be commensurate with the inflation rate. That's what is done globally. But unfortunately, if you look at what the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics is giving to Nigeria and what we see in the market in terms of inflation, you realize it's a vast difference. When you go to the market, it's like 100%. When you come to the Nigerian Bureau, it's telling you food inflation is about 40%. And so they've not been able to match that together. But I think out of 497,000 is not realistic. I don't think any company, especially listed in the index, just like your guest said before I came up, there are a lot of challenges that most of these companies are going to, especially those companies that are exposed to FX. And so sometimes when you begin to throw these numbers around, you don't also look at the larger picture of in terms of government companies needing to satisfy their shareholders by downsizing, whether I call it right sizing or downsizing, might just be what will play up in the long run. So we must be careful. But I think government have not so seriousness, because if it's easy for you to say subsidy gone, it should almost a year you've been negotiating minimum wage, and then these are public servants. They see some of the numbers that some of these political appointees in terms of funds that are moving their hand within them. And also, again, a government that is battling minimum wage saying that, oh, the economy will crumble if we have to pay. Then here you are, a government and giving about 90 billion naira for Hakshi operation. All these things sometimes add up to when you see labor organization demanding for high wages. I think but 497,000, I don't think is realistic.
I guess maybe that's why we see labor asking for that amount. When you see some of the things the federal government, spending on, at this time. But let's look at the breaking news we got this morning. CBN revoking the banking license of Heritage Bank. That's a big move right there in the banking industry. How are you seeing that?
Well, I think it has been expected for a while now. Remember, there were like 2-3 years ago, they formed that then the CBN governor came to debunk it, that said the bank was going into crisis. That's a bank that has been showing a lot of controversy. If you remember that the chairman of that bank also was removed some time ago, and I think the bank has not really come out of its wood. But the good thing is that CBN is intervening. We'll get more information on what these interventions are, because sometimes when this intervention comes into play, sometimes the more you see, the less you understand. And there are a good thing about the Heritage Bank thing, Ladi, is that it's not listed in the stock exchange.
Right.
So investors will not suffer losses like they would normally suffer when licenses are revoked, because the CBN will say we are only interested in customers, and once you're an investor, your money has gone down the drain. Luckily, we are not seeing that, and think that is good news for investors. But for the banking space, after CBN have told us time and time again that the financial state is very stable, to get a news like this, that means international investors will not be taking the CBN serious sometime when they make some of those pronouncements.
All right, so what are you seeing for the month of June? This last trading week for May, we did see positive sentiment. Is that going to filter into June?
Well, Ladi, June is always a month that is neither here nor there in the FX market, because at that time investors are putting their eyes waiting for the third quarter result. Second half year results, especially from the banking space, and also some other big conglomerate that pay interim dividends. So the month of June has always been wait and see what happens when those results comes in. So it's slow, but what normally happens in the month of June very much is we see investors looking at bargain hunting in terms of price movement, and then looking at opportunities to take advantage, especially knowing fully well that there will be interim dividend payment in half year. And remember, when you are going through a down economy like what we are going through now, cash become kings, and so investors begin to tilt towards stocks that are paying interim dividend. But again, as it stands now, most of those stocks that are paying interim dividend seems to be averaging in terms of their bottom-up approach. They seem to be average at a particular price. Access Bank over 17, UBA doing 22, Zenith Bank doing 33, then GTB 39, GTCO 39. So you see those stocks, those companies still within that space. And the only bank they are paying interim dividend that seems to have moved is Fidelity Bank, which is doing almost 10 naira, almost above 10 naira. So outside of that, you keep on seeing investors looking for good entry positions in those equity. But most investors normally key in there when those number comes in. Sometimes those number comes in that in pricing. Sometimes this number comes in, you see a little gradual movement, and sometimes these numbers might just come in and you see that the price will still remain where it is. So investors in the month of June are always doing wait and see.
Right, wait and see at this point, and definitely we'll see how the market closes today. We'll see if industrial action managed to shape investor confidence in the equities market. That's for today. Thank you so much. It was great to have your perspective. Mukhtar Mohammed, CEO, Finance with Mukhtar. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Ladi.
All right, that's it from me on Business Morning. We'll definitely get you today's close later with a summary. It's back to the Sunrise Daily team.